You got the guest list? I told you it was due today, right? The general manager insists, but I thought he said the weekend was the deadline. I had to go home early today because it was my daughter's birthday. And I sighed loudly at the general manager's unsubtle harassment. While I was working overtime with a sick feeling, someone approached me. My name is Marvin. I work for a company that manages business hotels. When I joined the company after graduating from high school, I worked as a hotelier. But my work performance was highly evaluated and I was transferred to the head office, where I am now the head of the sales department. At the head office, there is a vice president whom I respect. The vice president, who is the daughter of the president, worked at the same hotel when I was a hotelier. Because I'm in this industry, I have to experience it by being in the field. The vice president was fond of saying so. I hear that there are arrogant people in the founder's family, but the vice president had no such pretense. She listens attentively to the opinions of an ordinary employee like me. Although she's the vice president, the current president is retiring at an advanced age this year. The current president had decided to hold a big inauguration party. I'm in the party organizing committee. I wanted to be involved in the memorable occasion of the esteemed vice president. However, there was a troublesome person on the committee. Did you get the guest list? I told you to submit it by the end of the day, didn't I? It was Arthur who approached me. I thought you said by the end of the week. I said today. I'm counting on you. The general manager then quickly leaves the office. Wait a minute. I tried to stop him, but he didn't even look back. Today's my 8-year-old daughter's birthday. I usually work overtime, and so she is asleep by the time I get home. My daughter had asked me to come home early just for today, so I was going to go home on time, since I was getting sick and tired of working alone in the office. The general manager had transferred from another company about a year ago. He is a graduate of an elite university and had been in a managerial position at a previous company, so upper management is expecting a lot from him. But I did like him very much. He harassed me in a way that is difficult to accuse of, as he did today. I had a bad impression of him when I first met him. When the general manager found out that I only graduated high school. What? How can you be a section chief with a high school diploma? He insulted me outright. After that, whenever I met him in the company, many of my friends are executives and members of Congress. What kind of friends do you have? Are they farmers? And so on. And he would look down on me. I denied it each time, but he seemed to find my reaction amusing and persisted in talking to me. I tried to stay out of it as much as possible, but unfortunately, the general manager became the chairman of the executive committee of the inaugural party. The problem with the general manager was not only his arrogant attitude toward me. Once, a female employee complained that she was being stalked by the general manager. The upper management confirmed the fact with the general manager, but, of course, he would not admit to it. I would never do such a vile act as stalking. If you suspect me, please investigate thoroughly. The upper management, believing in the general manager's brazen attitude, decided that it was a woman's misunderstanding without conducting a thorough investigation. Perhaps they did not want to make a big deal out of it because the company president was about to be replaced. Rumor had it that the woman resigned from her job because she was not satisfied with the company's response. As I was working, remembering the rumor about the general manager, the clock struck 10 o'clock p.m. I suddenly felt the presence of someone behind me. Were you still there? Oh, Thank you for your hard work. I involuntarily stood up at the appearance of the vice president. The vice president looks at my desk and smiles bitterly. A party for 9 people is a bit of an exaggeration, isn't it? I would have been fine with a simple greeting within the company. It was the vice president's father, the current president, who initiated the party. This may be because of his parental desire to celebrate the start of his daughter's career, and to make it known both inside and outside the company. However, she was not enthusiastic about the idea. It's because rather than spending the budget on the party, she thinks that the company would be better off by repairing the building or increasing the wages of its employees. I have a good feeling about the vice president's firm attitude. When I worked with her, I complained to the president about the low wages of the employees. Thanks to the vice president, the hourly wage of the employees increased. The hotel industry is suffering from a labor shortage, but the vice president is probably responsible for the fact that the hotel is able to retain more personnel than other hotels. I wish all my bosses were like the vice president. I can't help but voice out my feelings. I was instructed by the general manager to invite guests no matter what. He was insisting that I invite a celebrity who is suitable for the party. I had written it in red letters in the material that I was going to invite a celebrity. Maybe that caught her eye? Do we have to call a celebrity? The vice president said it with a small laugh. I thought the vice president was not a person who would make fun of me, so I told her directly. The general manager instructed me to invite someone suitable for the party, which is not easy to do with my connections. Arthur, is it? The vice president's eyes sharpened for a moment, and she looked thoughtful. If you don't mind, could you let me help you? She said that. There is no way I should make my boss help me. I politely declined, but for some reason, the vice president is on board. I will contact him. So, could you pretend that you invited him? Actually... Then, the vice president began to talk about her surprise. This should satisfy the general manager's request and make him gasp, she said. When I came home after work, my daughter was asleep. I gently put the gift I had bought for her on her pillow and gently patted her head. You're just like Santa Claus, my wife said and laughed. I was happy to see my daughter's smiling face the next morning. As soon as I arrived at work, I was summoned by the general manager. What's this guest list? There's not a single celebrity on the list. The general manager threw the list at me. When I replied that there were people still in the process of making arrangements, the general manager laughed. A high school graduate's contacts are really nothing. I am sure you don't have any celebrity acquaintances like I do. I can even invite a member of Congress to the president's inauguration party. If you're going to go that far, why don't you invite them yourself? I'm sure everyone who was listening to the conversation thought that to themselves. Maybe he enjoys seeing people in trouble by issuing unreasonable orders. For a while after that, the general manager began his sermon. I interrupted the general manager and said, Oh, that's okay. I'll call him, even though he's different. We're still working on it, but I'll make sure he'll be able to attend. What? If he can't make it, be prepared to be punished. The employees around us who were watching our exchange watched with bated breath. There is a rumor that anyone who defies the general manager will be forced to resign. A few days later, we received a call from a certain person. He replied that he had been able to arrange a date and would attend the party. I immediately went to the general manager to inform him of the name of the attendee. A young manager? There are plenty of managers around, aren't there? I told you to invite a congressman or a celebrity. The general manager raised his voice. He has appeared on TV, so I think he is well known. I am sure you know him too, I said calmly, and he immediately agreed. Thank God he was so simple-minded that he would be a celebrity if he appeared on TV. Now that I had the general manager's permission, all I had to do was look forward to the day of the event, the day of the party. After several speeches, a young businessman owner appeared on stage. His name is Kyle Turner, and he runs a gym. He was on an information program on the subject of how to train your muscles. Because of the high level of recognition, the employees applauded him very loudly. Then, as soon as the general manager saw the man on the stage, he started trembling. Why? His mouth was open, but I could tell he was saying so. After Kyle introduced himself, he began his speech. I heard that the new president will focus on compliance. For example, a boss stalking a subordinate, he wants to prevent such incidents from occurring. Compliance means legal observance. In other words, the new president probably said that it is something that keeps an eye on employees to prevent misconduct from occurring within the company. Kyle's statement caused tension among all employees. Employees who would have immediately understood to whom Kyle's statement was referring.
This is the general manager we're talking about, right? Come to think of it, wasn't the former employee's last name Turner?
Everyone in the area began whispering. Kyle, on the stage, is staring at the general manager the whole time. Not only Kyle, but also the employee around him were staring at him. The general manager stood there, unable to escape, even if he wanted to. Then, the new president broke the heavy atmosphere. From below the podium, the new president said to Kyle, We will take strict measures to punish those who are not in compliance. Please be assured that I will protect our employees, since I will be taking over as president. Kyle smiled and clapped when he heard the new president's words. Kyle was followed by applause from the entire audience. My eyes followed the general manager. I saw the general manager leaving the venue quickly, looking uncomfortable. I followed him and tapped him on the shoulder. The party is not over yet. Surprised by my voice, the general manager said, Ah! He yelled pitifully. What's the meaning of all this? Why is that woman's family here? The general manager is panicking. I'm going to tell him carefully so that he can understand. Although it was covered up by the upper management, the general manager's stalking behavior was true. The woman had saved the email from the general manager, although she refused to submit it to the company. Where are you? She received dozens of such messages from him a day. Unsatisfied with the company's response, the woman confronted the general manager, claiming she had proof. The general manager asked her to keep the matter secret from both the company and his wife. He then paid the woman a settlement amount, which is hush money. Someone was present during the discussion at the woman's parents' home. It was Kyle, the woman's brother. The general manager, for someone who claims to follow new trends, did not watch TV, nor did not know that Kyle was a celebrity. Settling this with money? What the heck? Kyle was furious, but the woman herself said she did not want to make a scene. However, the woman distrusted men and began to see a psychotherapist. Kyle was growing resentful toward the general manager, wondering why the victim had to endure this. Then, at a management social event, he happened to meet the new president. Kyle told the new president all about his meeting with his sister. It was there that the new president first learned about the alleged stalker. At the time the rumors spread within the company, the new president had been away from the headquarters for a while. He was undergoing training to take over the management of the company. When the new president returned to the head office, upper management did not report the general manager's case. The new president, after talking to Kyle, apparently protested to upper management. However, upper management stubbornly insisted that there had been no stalking. The new president was stunned, wondering what they were talking about when the family was suing the company. When she tried to interview the general manager, her father, the president, stopped her.
"This is an important time, so forget about it,"
her father told her. She then decided that she had to change this route in company. I heard all this from the new president. It was the new president who instructed me to invite Kyle. I don't have any celebrity acquaintances. When I said this, the general manager turned red and grabbed me by the chest. "What a superfluous thing to do! Because of that woman, you're digging up rumors from the past." "It's not a rumor. It's a fact that you stalked her. It seems that the woman backed down because she was afraid of recrimination. The new president is very employee-oriented, so she won't forgive you." Then, the next moment, "Shut up!" the general manager shouted and hit me on the head as hard as he could. I fall to the floor. An employee who had been watching us from afar rushed over. I could hear him saying in the distance, "Are you alright?" I seemed to have fainted. When I woke up, I saw my wife and daughter crying. I felt bad that I had worried them. It seems that I was hit on the head and fainted, so they took me to the hospital just to be sure. "What happened to the party?" my wife asked, and she told me she had a message from the new president telling me to take a rest first. I wonder what happened to the general manager after that. I wonder about many things, but as the message said, let's take a good rest now. My daughter is reading me a picture book so that my injuries will heal. Since the tests were normal, I went back to work for the rest of the week. I was immediately called into the president's office. When I entered the president's office, several upper management members were sitting there. No one speaks, and the atmosphere is like a wake. Then, the new president opens her mouth. "I am very sorry you got injured. Arthur continued to act up after that, so we called the police. Although it has not been officially decided yet, we are planning to take disciplinary action against the general manager. If he commits violence against a subordinate and then calls the police, it may be a deserved punishment." I wondered if the action might also include punishment for stalking. As if she had read my thoughts, the vice president spoke up about the matter. "We are also responsible for our failure to respond to the stalking at the time. Therefore, all of us here, including myself, will be referred for disciplinary action." The upper management nods in disappointment at the new president's words. She then escorted the executives out of the room so that she and I could talk alone. I asked the new president what happened to Kyle, my invited guest, after that. He said he felt refreshed and left. He said it felt good to look down at the general manager turning pale from the podium. After Kyle's remarks, the audience was buzzing with rumors about the general manager. It seems that she was forced to interview the general manager again because of so much commotion. The general manager, who had been thoroughly restrained by the police, had no energy to argue with his superiors and readily admitted to stalking. "It seems that the general manager wants to talk to you." When asked by the new president, I replied that if it's on the phone, sure. The new president calls the general manager and puts him on speakerphone. From the phone, I heard the general manager apologizing to the new president, but the moment he turned to me, he said something shocking. "It's because of your exaggerated injury that it became important. I'm going to make your family suffer the same thing. If you don't like that, tell the president not to fire me." The general manager, who did not seem to notice the speakerphone, began threatening my family as a shield. I can't help but get angry at this. You have no remorse at all, it seems. I will file a damage report and file a claim for damages against you. A damage report just for that? You've got to be kidding me. The general manager raises his voice over the phone. You're the one who is joking. Everyone here can hear everything. The new president, who took the call from me, is even angrier than I am. I was told that the phone in the president's office has a recording function. The words of the general manager used to threaten me will be well recorded. Your statements are recorded. I will report this along with it to the police, so please be prepared. As I say this, a pathetic voice can be heard coming from the phone. Could you please give me a break on the damage report? I apologize. Thinking it was too late to apologize now, I hung up the phone. Then I went to the police station to file a damage report with a medical certificate from the hospital. The investigation should start now. I filed a claim for compensation with the general manager and confirmed that the money had been transferred. The general manager was officially dismissed from his position. He was fired and even got into trouble with the police. His wife must have given him a divorce. I don't know what happened to the general manager after that, but I am sure he is miserable. Later, the new president told Kyle what had happened. Apparently, the brother of the stalking victim said he was glad that the perpetrator was sanctioned. Furthermore, the new president has reformed the way we work, and thanks to a drastic reduction in overtime hours, I can now go home on time and spend more time with my daughter. For the sake of my daughter who says,
I love you, Daddy.
I would like to devote myself to my work even more.